7th chapter entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, text 3. So Gulshan had a go at speaking about this verse last week. Bhakti Mala had the idea that it would help them if they got put on the spot to speak, give them an opportunity to speak. So Gulshan spoke last week on this verse, but he didn't read the purport, so we'll read it again today. And Bhakti Mala was going to speak this week on the next verse, text 4, but she's not here today, so we'll keep that for next week.
All right.
And she can speak on that next week, hopefully, if she's available. So let's first of all offer respect to the spiritual master, as we do.
Just let me find it.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see you.
Likewise. I'm glad that you're well.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Would you like to read the English for that, Bob?
I was born in the darkness, ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Jai Prabhupada. Okay, yeah, so now we'll go to text 3 of the 7th chapter. Read the Sanskrit. Manusyanam sahasresu.
Manusyanam sahasresu. Sahasresu.
Yeah. Sahasresu. Yeah, that's it. Kaschid yatati siddhaye.
Katsid yatati siddhaye.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yatatam api siddhanam.
Yatatam api siddhanam.
Kaschin mam veti tatvata.
Kasinam mam veti tatvata.
Okay, would you like to read the English translation, please?
Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavour for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth.
So this is a very important verse, and Prabhupada spoke on this verse many times and gave reference to this verse. So it's indicating that it's very rare in the material world that someone, that's good. It's very rare in the material world that someone has an interest in spiritual realization and self-realization. It's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not many people talk about who am I and why am I here and who's God and what's my relationship with God and why do we suffer and what's the solution? How do I get a better body in my next life? I mean, who's talking about that? Not many. Most people talk about money and women and power and fame and glory and all this kind of stuff. So it's saying it's very rare that someone makes any effort for spiritual elevation, spiritual realization. And so out of thousands of people, hardly one has an interest in spiritual realization. And if you took those rare 1 out of 1,000 or less, that's trying for some spiritual perfection. If you put all them together, all of those rare people together, hardly one of them actually has an understanding of Krishna. Like it's saying here, knows me in truth. So hardly one becomes fully Krishna conscious. It's so rare, so it's 1 in millions. So if someone's Krishna conscious, they're a very rare person. Of course, we shouldn't let that information go to our head and think, wow, I'm just so special, I'm Krishna conscious, I'm the rare one in millions, like that. No, we shouldn't get puffed up, as they say. We shouldn't become. Yep, you're going to say something?
No. I just said, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So there's a danger of that, that anything very rare, right? You have something very rare, you can get proud of that, so.
Yeah.
But what we should feel is so grateful. We should be so thankful and grateful that we've been given this gift, this Krishna conscious knowledge, this knowledge about the soul, and that God is Krishna, and we can have a relationship with Krishna and everything go back to Godhead. This knowledge is so rare, and it's been given to us, It's not that we just discovered it alone. We've just heard it from a devotee. Somehow we got connected. I remember 30 years ago, a devotee, started explaining this knowledge to me 30 years ago. So like, we should be very grateful that, that we received a book, about Krishna, or we met a devotee that told us about Krishna, or we were invited to come to a temple and find out about Krishna or something like that. So that's a special blessing. It's causeless mercy. We should think that. It's not that I deserve it. I'm very intelligent or very great. I'm a one in a million kind of persons like that. No, not like that. But we're just a fallen soul in Kali Yuga. But out of the causeless mercy of the Lord and His devotees, have given us this opportunity to become Krishna conscious. So that's the better way to take it, that we feel very grateful, very humble, and very grateful that we've been given this gift of Krishna consciousness. But it's very rare, and that helps us also to understand that, well, why aren't there many devotees? How come there's not more devotees? No, well, if you read this verse, you realize why. It's so rare. And that's because the material world, who's in the material world? Which souls are in the material world? Is it the souls that love Krishna who come to the material world?
The ignorant ones.
The ignorant ones, yeah. Those that wanted to leave Krishna, those that were with Krishna and turned away from Krishna, they've left Krishna. So the souls in the material world are generally envious of Krishna. And they want to be Krishna themselves. They want to be God. They want to be the center, want to be the enjoyer, want to control everything like that. So, those are the souls that are in the material world. So you wouldn't expect, and that with that knowledge, that there's going to be many, people in the material that love God. So there's not so many. It's quite rare. It's quite rare. But as I've mentioned a few times, this verse here, 5,000 years ago, Krishna said it's so rare that someone becomes Krishna conscious. But something happened. Something happened that made this very rare thing of being Krishna conscious, made it more obtainable, Krishna consciousness. And now we see more and more people becoming Krishna conscious. So why is that? If you look at now what's happening around the world since Prabhupada came, and that especially, so many people become Krishna conscious. It seems like maybe this formula of one in millions is not really true anymore. So why is that? How is it that more people seem to be becoming Krishna conscious than what this verse is indicating might ordinarily be? So what do you think caused that?
Well, I think you've only got to look at the world today. I think people are looking for answers.
Yeah, that's there. Definitely, there's a lot of suffering, and people are, in their suffering, are becoming humble.
And it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. But one very special person came on this earth, and I'll give you a clue, about 500 years ago.
Our Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya. So especially because Lord Chaitanya came, he was freely giving Krishna consciousness, freely distributing Krishna consciousness. So that ordinarily Krishna conscious, like in Krishna's time, was only given to select persons that surrendered to Krishna. Very, very highly qualified, purified persons. They surrendered to Krishna, and then they would get this full Krishna conscious realization. But Lord Chaitanya is different. You know, he was Krishna coming, but in the mood of Radharani. So Radharani is so kind, so merciful. She was just giving Krishna consciousness out. So that thing which is indicated here is very rare. She was just giving Krishna consciousness to everyone in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And so Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So very liberal, very magnanimous, just giving out Krishna consciousness. So that's been continuing since that 500 years ago when he came. That Krishna consciousness is just being given out, and especially it gets distributed through the chanting of the holy name. You know, that there's so many people come to Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the holy name, and that was propagated in a widespread way for the first time with Lord Chaitanya. I mean, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has always been existing. It's always been there since the beginning of the universe, but it wasn't widely being practiced until Lord Chaitanya came, and he just really pumped it out, really propagated in a big way, and so many people through the chanting got love of Krishna, got love of Godhead. And many people have already gone back to Godhead since Lord Chaitanya's time through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. They obtained love of God and went back to Godhead. And it's happening now in the present, and it will continue to happen. And it's predicted that there will be a golden age within Kali Yuga that will last for 10,000 years. And that 10,000 year golden age within Kali Yuga, which Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 years. So it's a long time by what we're thinking of. And it started 5,000 years ago when Krishna left. But there's a little window of hope within this dark age of Kali Yuga and that 10,000 years, which is brought about by this Harinam Sankirtan movement, or the chanting of Hare Krishna that Lord Chaitanya brought. So yeah, that golden age is going to start to manifest more and more, and it hasn't been able to fully blossom because of this materialistic society. Is so materialistic that it's very hard for that Krishna consciousness to sprout in the hearts. But what we see now is that this materialistic society is like collapsing, like you said, you know, there's so many people suffering and distress and that. So, and when all their material hopes for material enjoyment and happiness get frustrated and defeated like that, then, you know, people will look towards spiritual life for solutions. And I've also seen that in these recent years, more and more, that more and more people talking about God and searching for truth and looking towards spiritual knowledge for answers like that. So that's very encouraging. That's very encouraging. Do you want to say anything, Bob, about any of that?
No, not at this stage. I'm good.
That's all good. Okay, let's read the purport. You want to start on that?
Yep, there are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by jnana yoga, jnana yoga, and a discrimination of the self from matter. Is that right? Discrimination of the self from matter. However,
Yeah.
Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, but this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. I'm going to keep going.
Oh, yeah, I can speak a bit about that. There's a bit to talk about there. Yeah, so there's different processes for spiritual realization, as a few of them mentioned here. Jnana yoga, which means the process of speculative knowledge. You know, people are using their brains to try to understand who am I and why am I here and why am I suffering and like that. So with their own brain, they're trying to understand. And then dhyana yoga, so that was the last chapter, which is also known as
meditation, isn't it?
Yeah, meditation. Yeah, that's it, Bob. Meditation. So that's you know, sitting down in the forest and doing breathing exercises and everything like that, and meditating on the super soul and the heart, like that. And then discrimination of the self from matter, that's called Sankhya yoga. Sankhya yoga. So that's, you know, really intellectual kind of people, and using their brain once again to understand what is this material world and where it comes from and everything like that. So these are all, you know, very difficult processes that require a lot of personal endeavor. And by these processes, as Prabhupada's saying here, they can't realize Krishna through these processes, you know, through their speculation and they're doing their exercises and breathing and everything, meditating. They can't realize Krishna, but they can realize the Brahman. Brahman means the all-pervading energy of God, and they can realize Paramatma, so the super soul in the heart, but they can't realize Krishna. So there's three different aspects of God. There's God's energy, the light, the Brahman, and then there's the localized super soul in the heart of every living thing, Paramatma, and then there's the Supreme Person, Bhagavan. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Krishna is that Bhagavan, the Supreme Person of Godhead. So Krishna can only be understood only by bhakti. Only by bhakti. By other processes, like I said, they can understand the Brahman, the energy, or they can understand the super soul and the heart by other processes. But as Prabhupada's explaining here, that Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, can only be understood by bhakti, by loving service, by devotion. Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Okay. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and the jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripada Sankacharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman.
Yeah, so that's continuing the same thing that we've just said, that it's very difficult. So yeah.
What you said.
Yeah.
All right, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda, Isvara, Parama, Krishna, Succeed, Ananda, is it?
Ananda. Ananda means bliss, yeah.
Ananda, okay. Vigraha,
Yeah.
Oh God, Anadur, Adur, Govinda,
Yeah.
Sava, Karata, Karanam.
Good one.
It is very difficult for the non-devotee to know him, although, sorry mate, I'm in the dark here. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotee claims of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita, is it? Sindhu?
Rasamrita Sindhu.
Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can stop there. We can stop there. So, yeah, Prabhupada's saying here that it's very difficult for non-devotees to understand God, to understand Krishna. Very difficult. Although they say that non-devotees say that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, because it seems easy, isn't it? That it's just chanting Hare Krishna mantra and dancing and, feasting like that. It seems very easy. Chanting, Prabhupada said, all we do is chanting, dancing and feasting. So it seems like really easy. And some people say, oh, that's just so easy. But they might say it's easy, but they can't do it. So Prabhupada's making the point that although non-devotees say that bhakti is very easy, but then if it's so easy as they say, then why can't they do it? Exactly. Why so few people, chant Hare Krishna and take up this practice of bhakti yoga? So what is the difficulty? What would you say?
I would think
externally it seems very easy what we do, but it's so hard to get people to do it.
Yeah, I think
where's the difficulty?
Without a doubt, I think the expectations of the food can be very difficult for people. The chanting on a regular basis, on a daily basis, it's very difficult for people. And I know there's probably some people take to it straight away, but also I think for a lot it just takes time. Time to really work it out mentally and find out what you really need from it. And then make the decision to actually follow it through.
Well, that's some good realizations there, Bob. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, definitely that's true. Yeah, and see, in the material world, the soul has been engaging in trying to satisfy our own senses, life after life, not just this one life. Like you said, the difficulty with the food, that we'd want to satisfy the tongue, by eating meat and fish and drink wine and smoke cigarettes and all these kind of things. So the tongue is very strong. The tongue is demanding, to eat and taste and drink all these things. Not only this one life, but many lifetimes in different bodies. We've been trying to satisfy the tongue, try to satisfy the nose, the ears, the hands, the touch, genitals, everything like that. So that's called sense gratification, as you know.
I learned yesterday that it's the hardest of the 9 gates.
Which one?
The mouth.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Where did you learn that yesterday?
I was at I'm sure Bhakti Marla's told you we're all 4 or 5 of us are doing a course.
Yes, yeah, that's really good.
Of
Yeah,
a Wednesday
yeah.
about the Bhagavad Gita. It's just like an online course that we go over Wednesday. Has she not told you about it?
She has,
Yeah.
and that's why she wants to practice speaking herself. Because of that course, she's realizing that it would be very helpful to get an opportunity to present the knowledge, to help learn it better and like that. So
I think she's come a long way, Bhakti.
yeah,
She
yeah.
was she's normally quite shy, but she spoke up yesterday. There was counting her, there was 5 of us there yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh.
she had the answers for everything, and she handled it really well.
Yeah. So I think she was feeling a bit of a lacking in public speaking like that. So that's why she wanted to practice, talking.
Yep.
Like to have a go on Thursdays at speaking about on a verse. So yeah, so that course is doing really good things for you guys by the sound of it.
And mate, also when she was doing kirtan, she used to whisper. Now she sings.
Okay.
Not at the top of her voice, but you can hear her.
Okay. Well,
So she's got confidence there as well.
yeah, it takes time, like you say, like you said, it takes time,
Yeah.
So you just have to be patient. But yeah, that makes it difficult for people to take up Krishna consciousness because we're so addicted. We, addicts, right? We all know about addictions. There are so many addictions to different drugs and that. But even more broadly, we're addicted to satisfying the tongue, like you said, the most difficult of the 9 gates. So the tongue and the genitals and so forth. Especially the tongue and the genitals are the most powerful ones. That and that's also one of the rules too, right? No illicit sex, so and no meat eating. So people find it, and no intoxication. That's also deals with the tongue, right?
Yep.
So it's a lot to do with the tongue and the genitals. So yeah, very difficult for people. In the chanting is easy, but people have difficulty in following the regulated principles and giving up sense gratification. But also even the chanting. Like you said, every day it's difficult because, sacrificing your time every day to chant Krishna's names requires a bit of surrender, a bit of sacrifice.
It does.
And like I said, deep down, there's a lot of rebelliousness there. There's a rebellious spirit that, we actually don't like God. Most of us in our heart, we don't like God because we want to be God. Like I said, there's that envy deep down in the heart. There's a bit of envy there of Krishna. So we don't really want to glorify Krishna because we don't like Krishna. We want to be Krishna. So that's why like that. There's many non-devotees. And they don't want to chant Hare Krishna, even though it's so easy. And like Prabhupada said, it's for free. Chanting is free. There's no charge. Not like some other processes. Like if you want to practice some kind of yoga or something, go to some courses, they charge, big money.
Very expensive.
Big money. Even they have secret mantras. Some of these courses have silent mantras that are like secret, and they'll charge you like hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But like Prabhupada said, we're giving out this Hare Krishna mantra for free. There's no charge, no expenditure. But still people don't want to chant because, because of that envy there in the heart and that wanting to be Krishna. So there's a stubbornness there deep down that we don't want to, acknowledge that Krishna's God and surrender to him. And
Also,
yep.
I think one of the big difficulties in our society is we're also maybe not at my age, but we're also very social. Like you don't have people come to your house anymore where you used to have a dinner or something like. Now it's you got to meet them out somewhere, and you've only got to. You've only got to go down the street of a morning and the coffee shops are full, all eating coffee, uh, you know, uh, of an evening, all the restaurants are full, even though we're going through a difficult stage financially in the community.
Yeah.
Everyone still goes out and eats, you know. So
Yeah.
that makes it very hard to.
Are you saying, like, if you become Krishna conscious, well, it's going to affect your social life?
It can.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
I
yeah,
guess if you let it, I suppose, is the key word.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely it does, you know, it definitely does change, you know, what you're going to be doing in terms of going out to restaurants and parties and so forth, social kind of gatherings is going to change, yeah. And that's why it's important that devotees have their own social gatherings, you know, and that's why, like, we had the Friday night at the Bhakti Tree was a real social event, you know. Was a real social event, you know. And people,
it's not the same anymore.
I know, but that we need that kind of thing, you know, because that's what satisfies that social kind of part of us, where you want to hang out with other people and just relax and have a bit of recreation and enjoy yourself. And so we want to do that, but in a spiritual kind of way, you know, connected with Krishna. So that's the way that Friday night was set up. That you're progressing spiritually, but you're also fulfilling those social needs, you know, where you can get together with a whole bunch of people and sing and music and nice food and everything like what you would, you know, going to some other restaurant or something like that, you know. So yeah, we got to work that out, you know. We need that. Unfortunately, you know, all these, like you said, it's been a difficult couple of year period and stuff like that. Financially, people are affected and their health and stuff like that. So yeah, it's sort of stuffed it up a bit. That even the Bhakti Tree, it's affected the Bhakti Tree and what we could do, and they haven't been able to bring, as you know, in more devotees from overseas during that period. So it's a real tight ship at the farm, and they haven't been able to send anyone out, like, you know, like we used to get Ramtek come out from the farm, you know, and stuff like that. So that's been difficult. Even like Ramtek, did you know, is going to be coming for a short period? Did you know?
Heard how wonderful it was. Did I hear he might stay about 3 months?
Yeah, he's going to get a visa like that, and they'll bring him in for like 3 months or so. Unfortunately, sorry to say, I don't know if you know that his wife passed away.
I did hear that. I didn't hear why. Was obviously through an illness, I guess.
Yeah, just suddenly died, you know, without any warning.
How old was she? She would have only been in her 40s, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, late 40s or like that. Yeah, probably like late 40s or something, in the 40s. Yeah.
So sad, isn't it?
So yeah, so that's a bit of a blow, but yeah, he's still coming, but it just delayed his trip, you know. So that'll be nice. You'll be seeing him and can enjoy some nice music somewhere. But yeah, that's important to fulfill those social needs, but in a way that's connected with Krishna. Then we can still get that satisfaction, but it's not going to be going against our spiritual progress. That's what we need to work out. Yeah, so in any case, yeah, there are different obstacles there which prevent, you know, quite a few people from taking to Krishna consciousness, even though externally it seems very simple, very easy, but it's actually very difficult for people to follow it, because it does require some, you know, giving up of sense gratification and serving Krishna, which is a big ask for people that are anti-Krishna.
and also, Abhay, of late, many people are talking about loneliness, and I think I'm surprised more. Sorry, I'm surprised more people haven't reached out. But again, I don't think many people realise that the the Krishnas are there, like probably a lot of other organisations that would be a wonderful opportunity to meet people and you know learn from the Bhagavad Gita, it does change a world, as you know,
Yeah, yeah.
without a doubt. So.
Yeah, well, if one actually becomes Krishna conscious, one will never be lonely ever again, because then you feel connected with Krishna all the time, even if you're seemingly alone, but the devotee never feels alone. He always feels
No,
his presence.
no.
And there's always lots to do, you're never going to be bored. So you can either chant, or you can read, or you can go to a temple, you can take prasadam. There's so many things you can do. Serve Krishna, make a garland for Krishna, cook for Krishna, do so many things,
Yeah,
in Krishna's service. So it takes away all these big problems like boredom and loneliness. I always remember, before I came to Krishna consciousness, I'd either be bored or I'd be lonely,
yep,
or feel isolated and like that. But all these problems go away if we can become Krishna conscious. But the problem is, and what you pointed out before, though, is that people are ignorant.
yeah,
That's the problem, people are ignorant. So therefore, it's the devotees' service, their duty, to go out to connect with people, to try to awaken people to these opportunities and the benefits of Krishna consciousness, because people are not going to figure it out themselves because they're ignorant. So devotees have to go out, and that was the idea too with the bhakti tree, that through the bhakti tree, devotees can meet people. We can meet people and we can help people. Otherwise, they never get to meet devotees. They're never going to just automatically go to the farm or anything like that. No, we have to go to the people. We have to go to where the people are and meet with them and make friends with them. And then, hopefully they'll open up and, we can try to help them and like that. And, the Bhakti tree did help people like yourself and like Bhakti Mala and Gulshan and, so many people, Brett and.
Rob, remember Rob?
Of course. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Going back
Rob and
over,
Deepa and.
yeah, we were going back over a few old names last night.
Yeah, and Josh.
Yeah, Josh. I think Josh is just busy with his studio.
Yeah, I actually he came to see me at Gulshan's house when I was staying at Gulshan's house
Is
on
that
his
right?
last
How
trip.
nice
Yep.
is that?
He took out of his time
Yeah,
he was going to his little farm up north,
yep.
and but he took some time out to come and meet me one morning. I
Oh,
was staying at Gulshan because I was getting some dental work done
yep,
with Aniket.
yep.
And he came and spent maybe half an hour or so
Oh,
having a
nice.
chat like that. So yeah, it's great, but that's what we need to do. We need to go out and meet with people and make friends and try to help them become Krishna conscious. And because like Prabhupada, that was his mood. That always, trying to help other people. I mean, he had a good life himself. He's already Krishna conscious.
Yeah,
He could have just enjoyed that all to himself, and that would have been good for him. But that wouldn't have been good for anyone else. So, he, as traveled around the world and took up so many difficulties and heart attacks and everything like that, health difficulties, for the purpose of trying to help other people. So that's an important part of Krishna consciousness, is trying to help other people. And that's another thing that's a bit difficult for some people to do as well, because we tend to be quite selfish. So we don't really want to go out and help other people. But so that's a difficult thing for some people to take up. But as we get purified more, our own heart, then naturally as our heart gets softened more, then we slowly do feel more compassion. We feel more compassion awaken within us as we become more spiritually enlightened. We start to feel more compassionate and more caring about others and try to help other people. And we realize that how happy I became through Krishna consciousness, and we realized that Krishna consciousness is the only way to find real happiness. Because we tried to find happiness through food and it didn't work, through drinking and it didn't work, through smoking it didn't work, through sex it didn't work, through money it didn't work. You know, so we've tried to find happiness through sense gratification, and we've all done that, and it didn't work. And then we tried Krishna consciousness, and it worked. You know, and we became happy and satisfied. So now that we've found out what the secret for happiness is, Krishna consciousness, you know, then the devotee realizes that I have to share this. It's like, you know, if you found a cure for cancer, what would you do? Would you keep it to yourself?
No, you'd have to.
No, you'd call it out. I found the cure for cancer. I got it. You'd stand on the highest building and scream out, you know, I found the cure for all your problems, you know, for cancer or whatever. You know, so we found the cure for the cycle of birth and death, you know, no more birth and death, no more suffering, you know, eternal blissful life, you know, we're going back home, back to Godhead. So naturally, as we realize that more and more, we want to share it with others, because we realize that the cause of suffering is forgetfulness of Krishna consciousness, which is ignorance, and that the cause of happiness is Krishna consciousness. So, you know, so naturally, you know, as we progress, that should happen more and more. That we want to help, and that way also our interest for a social life will get fulfilled, because you're going to meet people to help them become Krishna conscious, but you're also getting nice relationships. Yeah. You know, like how many wonderful relationships I got, you know, through distributing prasadam. Like I got to meet you, and got to meet Bhakti Mala, and got to meet Gulshan and Josh and Deepa, and you know, so your sociable needs and everything get fulfilled just by trying to help spread Krishna consciousness around. Yes. And because Krishna is in the center of the relationship, it tends to be a very nice relationship, very solid. Whereas if it's just eating food at a restaurant or drinking or something, or watching a movie together, that's what's joining us together, it's not a very good foundation. It's not a very good connection. So those relationships aren't going to be very fulfilling. But if the relationship is centered around Krishna, either, you know, we come together to chant, or we come together to take prasadam, we come together to talk about Krishna, then those relationships are much more substantial and much deeper relationships, and they're lasting relationships, you know. I mean, I can't think of any devotees where we sort of split apart, and I don't want to see his face anymore, and he doesn't want to see my face anymore. And, you know, I can't think of that happening. Whereas in material relationships, they often get broken, you know. Oh, I don't like you anymore, and oh, I don't want to see you, and like that, you know. So you don't get that so much if it's a spiritual relationship, isn't it?
Mate, in about 4 weeks' time, as you can imagine, I talk about it all the time with Claire. You know, she's patient with me. She listens, and anyway, we're going up to Brunswick Heads, but I will take her to the farm.
New Govardhan, Moorlimba.
Yeah, just I don't know whether we'll spend a night there or not, but we'll certainly go there and have a meal, and so she knows all about it and what it is, and
that's good.
Excited to show her.
Yeah. So spiritual relationships tend to be more long-lasting and more deeper and satisfying. Yeah.
Yes.
And even though people may have a lot of social life, going to restaurants, as you mentioned, and cafes and everything, but they tend to have very superficial, very shallow friendships, not really going to the heart, satisfying the heart. But yeah, well, if Krishna's in the center, it's a much more satisfying relationship. Okay, let's read a bit more. Huh? So you can start from underneath the Sanskrit. No need to read the Sanskrit, just where it says devotional service.
Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads. Mate, just give me 1 second. I need a light.
Yep.
Okay. Like the Upanishads, the Puranas, and the Narada Pancaratra, is it?
Pancharatna.
Pancharatna is
Yep.
simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as realized yogis. Sorry, did I miss it?
You
Sorry,
missed a bit. Yep.
I did. Sorry, go ahead. As the son of mother of Asoda, or the charioteer of Arjuna, even the great,
Mm.
even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muryanti Yat Saraha.
Surya. Mm.
So, how do you say it? Saraya.
Surya. That
Saraya.
means the demigods.
Yes,
See, even the
Saraya. Yep.
demigods are bewildered. Yeah. Mm.
Mam Taveda Na Kaskana, or Chana, is it?
Yeah. Wherever you see a C, just
Yeah.
imagine there's an H there because it's always cha. It's not ka, it's cha.
Yeah. Cha.
When you see a
Okay.
C, you say
Kaschana.
cha. Yeah.
No one knows me as I am, the Lord says, and if one does know him, then Sa Mahatma Sudalabha.
Yeah. Sudurlaba. Sudurlaba. Mm.
Sudurlabha.
Yeah.
Such a great soul is very rare.
Mm.
Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, Tatvata, even though one is the great scholar or philosopher. Only
Yeah.
a pure devotee can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities of Krishna. His being the cause of all the causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees, is the last word in Brahma realization, and the devotee alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said.
Mm. Yeah. So it's saying here, very difficult to know Krishna unless one takes to bhakti, the path of bhakti. And it's revealed um, here how it is that the devotees can know Krishna. If they take to devotional service, you can know Krishna because, as it's mentioned, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. So what does that mean? That if someone does devotional service, if some soul does some service to him with love, then he becomes very partial to them. He becomes very inclined to them. He's very pleased. So Krishna is very pleased if you do some service. Like if some soul just says Hare Krishna, then Krishna is very pleased, and he'll try to help that person. He'll do whatever it takes to try to help that person come back to Godhead. You know, he'll give them guidance in their heart. From in their heart, he'll inspire them in the heart as a super soul, how to progress in spiritual life. He might send devotees to that person. He might send, a devotee, a guru, or you might get a book like that. You might get some prasadam. So how are you getting all those opportunities? That's Krishna. It's not just by chance that you're finding out about the holy name, that you're finding one of Krishna's books or Krishna's prasadam. It's not by chance. That's because Krishna's pleased. Krishna's pleased, and he's giving you another opportunity to make more progress. So, as soon as you do anyone does a little bit of devotional service, immediately that attracts Krishna's attention. Okay, that Bob did some devotional service. I'm going to give him mercy. I'm going to help Bob to come even more closer like that. So as soon as you do a little bit of service, that will lead to Krishna giving you another opportunity to do more service and then more and more and more. So So that's why devotional service is so powerful, because it attracts Krishna. It pleases Krishna. And then once Krishna helps us, then it becomes very easy to know him. Whereas if you don't get Krishna's help, forget it. You're not going to know Krishna. The only way you're going to know Krishna is if Krishna helps you to know him like that.
Mm.
And it's like, you know, else. Like, how do I get to know about you? You know, only if you reveal yourself to me, only if you reveal yourself, and you're only going to reveal yourself if you're pleased with me, if you're pleased with my behavior and my, you know, relationship and everything, then you may, you know, reveal your heart to me and everything like that. So, you know, how does Krishna become revealed? Only if he's pleased. And what pleases him is if we do some service. You know, like we become happy, isn't it? If someone does some service for us.
Yes.
You know, if someone cooks a nice meal for us, or someone's, you know, glorifying us or something like that, you know, then wanting to do some service for us, then we become very, very touched and very pleased and very grateful. We want to reciprocate. We want to reciprocate. We want to repay the person. So Krishna's like that too. He's a person. God's a person. So if you treat him in a very loving way and is wanting to serve him and everything, naturally he'll open up and want to help you and do service for us. You know, so that's the way it works with Krishna too, the way it would work with us. So that's what gets the ball rolling, is when we do some service, and especially chanting Hare Krishna. As soon as someone chants Hare Krishna, Krishna becomes very attracted to that person and tries to help them, you know, enlighten them from inside the heart as the super soul, from outside as the guru of the devotees. I mean, if I look back in my life, how I came to Krishna consciousness, it started out with, my mother went to a flea market, and she would often bring back books, because my dad and I were bookworms. We liked to read. And in this box of books she brought back one weekend was The Science of Self-Realization with Prabhupada's picture on the front. And I was quite young at the time, so I didn't read the whole book or anything. But it very deeply impressed me, the picture of Prabhupada. He looks such a deep, profound person. I've never seen anyone like that in my life. He looks so wonderful, just seeing that picture of Prabhupada. So I appreciated Prabhupada. And also inside in the pictures, there was a picture of Mahavishnu, you know, with many hands, and, you know, universes coming out of his skin pores. He's blue and everything. And that like blew my mind, you know, and very deeply impressed in my mind. So I had some appreciation for that book. And then some years after that, I had a friend who was a vegetarian who said there's these far out vegetarian pies in this Hare Krishna restaurant. Let's go and get them. So he took me there, and I remember walking down the street, and I bit into this, my first time I had prasadam, and it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever tasted. That was a pie. That was a vegetarian prasadam pie. And it was the best pie, and I've eaten a lot of pies, you know, mostly with meat. That's what I said when my friend said vegetarian pie. I said, "Oh, what's that? And you mean no meat? What's that?" You know, I couldn't comprehend what a pie was without meat in it. But no, it was amazing. It was amazing. So, and then I definitely appreciated the prasadam. So first of all, I appreciated the book, and then Krishna was pleased. And then that led me to getting the prasadam. And then I appreciated the prasadam. And then that led me to, that was only soon after that, within a year after that, that I met a devotee. So I was working on a woofing farm, an organic farm, and a devotee was there also getting experience. in organic gardening, and he preached to me for like over 2 or 3 days, and that was it. And then he was the most happy, peaceful, knowledgeable person I ever met, and I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
So that was, see, but as soon as you do some service, then Krishna's got you. And then he's gonna give you another opportunity to do more service, and then another one. So he's like the fisherman with the reel is like pulling us in. He's just winding us in, winding in the fish, so he's caught the fish, like that. So, but that's Krishna's love for us. He's always trying to help us, but he just needs a little excuse like that, and that's to do some service. As soon as we do some service, then Krishna thinks, oh, you did some service for me. Oh, I'm so happy. I want to help you. Like that. So this is the magic of knowing Krishna. That's how we can know Krishna, is through doing service. So even if someone just washes Krishna's pots, like Mahabhadra, he can become fully Krishna conscious, just through washing the pots, for Krishna. Anything, cleaning the floor, cleaning the toilet, making flower garlands, massaging the devotees' aches and pains away, cooking for the devotees or Krishna or whatever, singing, talking about Krishna or whatever. Any service, distributing books, Krishna becomes pleased, and then he'll enlighten us within our heart. Yeah, so very powerful. But that's the secret. That's the secret, is to do some devotional service. And then that's the whole purpose of the Hare Krishna movement, is to spread, devotional service. It's all about, hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna and chanting Krishna's names and worshipping Krishna. And, there's 9 processes of devotional service. So, and that's all we do, in the Hare Krishna movement. That's all we do there. And that's what pleases Krishna. And through those services, then Krishna becomes revealed. Krishna becomes known to us. And even a simple devotee can have more knowledge about Krishna than even the greatest philosopher. Even you have big philosophers and big scholars and big intellectuals and like that, but they don't know nothing about Krishna. They're just complete morons when it comes to knowing the real deeper truths of life, the higher truths. They don't know anything. Big politicians, scientists, philosophers, scholars, but if they haven't done devotional service, they're really ignorant. They might know a lot about mobile phones or computers or some technology or anything like that, but they don't know anything about after this life, the soul, Krishna, who God is, anything, nothing they know. But even a simple devotee, who just washes Krishna's pots, can be so much enlightened about this higher knowledge. And it's just because Krishna's pleased by their service.
Abhay, the photo of Prabhupada was what attracted me. This is a long time ago. And anyway, I didn't know there was a farm in Newcastle, so someone had told me about the bhakti tree, which I went to.
Yeah.
And that's when someone said, oh, you really need to go up the farm. So I went up the farm, and I was searching at this stage.
Yeah.
And I stood in front of Prabhupada's,
Murti. It's called a murti. Yeah.
Murti. And I said, I just wished you could give me a sign, And there was a light shining on his throat, and it was quivering, and it looked as though he was trying to talk to me.
Yeah. Wow.
But do you think I could find the source of the light?
Well, no.
Funny.
Wow. So, you asked for a sign and he gave it to you. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never told anyone that, but that was what, you know, I was ready, and that was when, you know, I felt as though I'm in the right place, you know. It's
Wow.
really
No.
funny. It was as if he's like, his mouth wasn't moving, of course, but this bit was like it
Yeah.
was quivering.
Yeah.
And I looked everywhere for this source of light that was shining, that was creating it. I couldn't find it.
Yeah. No, that was you had a spiritual experience. That wasn't an ordinary thing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Now, there's many mystical things happen to devotees. They can't
yeah, special.
really logically explain, but yeah, many times special
Yeah.
things,
Anyway, I'm glad
many
it
special
happened.
things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't quite finished here, have we? Like, we've got a little bit to go.
Yeah. Let's read that last paragraph.
Yep. Okay, so no one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's it. You know, we can't understand Krishna by our own endeavors, by our own efforts, through our own senses. But we can be, but Krishna reveals himself. That's how it happens, you know. So not by our endeavor, but Krishna can reveal himself if he wants to. And that's completely his prerogative, you know, his free will, his choice, whether he wants to reveal himself or not. You can't force Krishna to reveal himself, but he chooses to reveal himself to his devotees, you know, someone that's trying to serve him, you know. So if you render some transcendental loving service, as it's said here, to Krishna, then he's pleased. And being pleased, then he reveals himself. So that's how it works. So step one is you render service. Step two is that he's pleased by that service. And step three is that he reveals himself. And that revealing himself means you become enlightened. You become enlightened in Krishna consciousness, enlightened in knowing who you are, who God is, your relationship with God, what is this material world that we live in, how we can get freedom from suffering. And so everything that we need to know, that becomes revealed to us once Krishna's pleased, you know. And that's the ultimate success, you know. That's the ultimate perfection. You have that knowledge, because like we've said many times, the cause of our suffering is ignorance. So therefore the solution to all that suffering is knowledge. Knowledge is the opposite to ignorance. Ignorance is compared to darkness, and knowledge is compared to light. So just like wherever there's the light, there can't be any darkness. You know, isn't it? When the sun comes up in the morning, the darkness is immediately gone away.
Yep.
So when this knowledge comes up in our life, this knowledge of Krishna consciousness is like illuminating our whole consciousness, and then all this darkness of ignorance is blown away, you know. And because of ignorance, we commit sinful activities. And it's actually the sinful activities that cause us to suffer. So, you know, because we're ignorant, so we do sinful activities, you know, like killing animals and illicit sex and drinking and so forth. And then, and because of the reactions, the reactions for those sinful activities is some suffering, is their punishment. So therefore, the solution is if you get knowledge, then you won't commit those sinful activities anymore, and then you won't have to suffer. And then we awaken our Krishna consciousness, and then we're out of here. We're out of here. So an amazing process, simple process, but yeah, difficult, because like the saying goes, right? Ignorance is bliss. People will get attached to being ignorant. They don't want to. They don't want to get out of ignorance. That's the problem. When you're in ignorance, you know, that's part of the ignorance, that in ignorance you think you're happy. You think you're okay. You think you're okay. Like, I'll give you an example, just like animals, they're ignorant, right? The dog and the pig and so forth. And they think they're happy, in their dog body, in their pig body, they think they're happy. But if we look at them, like look at what a pig is eating stool. The pig is eating up the stool of other animals. It eats the human poo as well and everything like that. They eat all kind of horrible things. And it thinks it's happy, and then it rolls around the mud and everything like that. The pigs roll around the mud. We had a pig, and yeah, Nugo Cooler. Did you ever see that pig?
Yeah.
You saw that pig,
You
yeah.
just call him pig.
We called him Varaha. Varaha
Oh,
means
is that
pig.
right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Varaha.
Yep.
Varaha was his name, and Varaha is means pig or boar.
Okay, yeah.
So, and he would roll around the mud, and well, sometimes we'd throw him the prasadam, the food. He would eat some, and then he would roll in it. So he would roll around in the food.
Yeah. I got to feed him a few times.
You got to feed him a few times, yeah. But that's the thing, they're thinking in every form of life, animal or whatever they are, they're thinking they're happy, but actually it's miserable life. And he got to the point where, he was thinking he was enjoying, eating so much and everything like that, sleeping and everything. But then it got to a point where he went like blind. He couldn't really see anymore. And his different organs didn't work properly, and his legs and everything. So it got to the point that Kalia told me the vet came and shot him, put him down. Right. So in ignorance also, you're thinking you're happy and you're not realizing that death is coming. That's part of the ignorance too, you're ignorant of death. So everyone in the material world is like that in ignorance. I'm enjoying, I'm drinking, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I'm having sex and everything like that, not realizing that death is getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. And then zoom, then it comes and catches you. So in the Vedas, the process of death is compared to a snake. Because the feature of a snake is that generally the prey of the snake doesn't know it's coming. It just very quietly is coming up to the thing, and then suddenly strikes, and then that's it, finished. So death is like that. You don't realize it's coming, but it's getting closer, time is ticking by, like that. And then boom, then it comes like that. So in ignorance, they don't realize that, but in Krishna consciousness, that's part of the knowledge, that we understand what death is. It's just a change of body. It's nothing to be afraid of, because we know that we're eternal. We know the soul never dies, and but it's just a change of body. And if we're Krishna conscious and thinking about Krishna, then our next body will be with Krishna. That's what we're thinking about. We're thinking about, we want to be with Krishna, we want to associate with Krishna, we want to serve Krishna. That's what the chanting means. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada explains it's a prayer calling out to Hare, who is Radha, and Krishna, please engage me in your service. So we're praying for service. So when this body dies, then Krishna will give us what we're praying for. He'll give us a spiritual body in the spiritual world where we can serve him, and he gives everyone what they want. If you're living in ignorance and you just want to eat and have sex and sleep, then Krishna, when that body dies, well, Krishna knows, okay, you just want to eat, have sleep, have sex and sleep, then I'll give you another material body. So everyone gets what they want. If you want to enjoy your senses, then you're going to get another body, and suffer. But if you want to serve Krishna's senses in the spiritual world, then Krishna knows that he'll give you that. So that's one of the benefits of Krishna consciousness, is that And not only we can be happy in this life, because it's a lovely lifestyle, isn't it? Chanting and, talking about Krishna and having prasadam, being with devotees, go to the farm and everything like that. Nice people, everything's nice environment and everything like that. Nice philosophy, nice food, nice music. Everything's so nice. So you can enjoy in this life, and then when the body dies, you can go back to Godhead, enjoy with Krishna. But in ignorance, I just always people are suffering, never satisfied, always want more and more, greedy and like that. And then death suddenly comes and not expecting it, and they're very afraid of death. And then they end up getting put in another material body and go through it all over again. So that's very unfortunate. So yeah, first thing is we want to become Krishna conscious, and then try to help others to come out of ignorance. But like I was saying, ignorance is bliss. So, but people think that they're happy in that situation. That's part of the sad thing about it. That if someone's in ignorance, it's hard to get them out of ignorance. So it's difficult for the devotees to try to help other people become devotees, because they're attached to being in ignorance. They're attached to sense gratification. And that's what we were saying before, right? That the process looks easy and they say it's easy, but they can't practice it, because they're so conditioned by this ignorance and passion. That's in the scriptures, it's explained that we're called conditioned souls. So what does it mean, that term, conditioned souls? So that it means we're controlled or conditioned by, like, for example, ignorance or passion, by controlled by lust, by greed, by anger, by envy, by pride. So these are what it means to be a conditioned soul. All these conditions are put upon us, and we become completely controlled by them and covered over by them. We become covered over by the ignorance and conditioned by that. And then like one time I tried to explain to my father about reincarnation, which reincarnation is like just the ABCs for a devotee. It's just the most basic knowledge. It's nothing too difficult, about understanding about reincarnation. And the day after I spoke to him, he sent me an email and said, after you spoke to me, I had a headache and I couldn't sleep. So I completely disturbed him, just trying to understand about reincarnation. He couldn't get it. Why? Because he's conditioned by ignorance, so conditioned. He's very strong habit for eating beef, for even killing. I've seen him when I was a child shooting cows, so killing cows and eating cows and drinking intoxicants and everything like that. So I mean, materially, he's very intelligent. Like he owned a very successful vacuum pump engineering business as an engineer. He built his own house, and as an engineer, successful, made millions of dollars and everything like that. Had people working under him and everything, but he can't understand about reincarnation, which for us is like just easy peasy stuff, because he's controlled by that ignorance. Is like he's locked into that. You're a materialistic person. You love eating your beef and you love drinking wine and all this kind of stuff, and there's only one life and there's no God, and so you're conditioned by that, completely controlled by that, and it's very hard to get out of it. Therefore, he said he had a headache. It just disturbed him, and not only didn't he understand it, but it just disturbed him. Just hearing about it disturbed him, like that. So yeah, it's not easy for, like it's saying in this verse. That's why it's so rare that people come to Krishna conscious, they're so conditioned by many lifetimes being in the mode of ignorance, being in the mode of passion, like that, controlled by lust, greed, anger, envy, pride, like that. It's very hard to get out of it. But the only hope is if the devotees, they pray to Krishna for us. My spiritual master, he wrote to me a first letter. He wrote to me, he said that when Prabhupada first met him, then Prabhupada wrote a letter to him after they met and said to my spiritual master that I prayed to Krishna that may this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada wrote that to him, that he prayed to Krishna that may this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. And then my guru was writing me that, and then he said, similarly, when I first met you, means me, I prayed to Krishna, may this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. And then I did, so that's what, how devotees can help people. We can pray to Krishna, please help this person, please help this person. But generally devotees will pray like that for someone, that's pious, that's a bit inquisitive, that has a bit of faith, like that. They're receptive. And then what the devotee prays to Krishna, please help this person. You can't really do that so easily for someone that's very anti-Krishna, because you don't really have that feeling that they're a good soul. They're like that, so they're not very favorable. But even if someone's just a little bit favorable, then you feel like, pray to Krishna, please, he's a really nice person, please help him become Krishna conscious, like that. And in my dad's situation, I can't really pray to Krishna like that for him to become Krishna conscious. I don't think it's possible. But all I can do in his situation is not try to disturb him further, because that's what it is. If an envious person, a demoniac person, if you talk to them about Krishna consciousness, that's what happens. They become disturbed. And after being disturbed, and that's what happened with my father also, he becomes angry. So you're not actually helping them become Krishna conscious. You're actually causing them to create offenses, because they start to blaspheme and attack God and get angry. And I've had my father, he gets angry at the Hare Krishna movement, angry at ISKCON, angry at Krishna, angry at me, if I bring up anything about God. So the best thing I can do is not talk to him about spiritual things, because he can't relate to it. He's too conditioned. He's just too controlled by that ignorance and passion. But if someone's a bit pious, means more in the mode of goodness, and they're favorable, then you can pray to Krishna, please help them, become Krishna conscious, and like that. And that's just some things to come to mind.
Is your mum a little bit forgiving?
She is very soft-hearted. She's very, as women generally are, very soft-hearted. But her problem is she's a dedicated follower of my father, who's a hard nut. So she's completely surrendered to him.
Yeah.
So, because of that, because she's come completely under his control, and he's become completely under the control of ignorance and passion, therefore it's difficult to help her.
How old is that?
They would be in their mid-70s. Yeah, they'd be in their mid-70s. And I got in my father's case because he told me not so long ago that my mother had bowel cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and then I mean she had all the stuff done on it, and it's she's okay at the moment. But I got in his case because I said that's because you guys eat so much meat. Because you eat so much meat, it's like rotting in your bowels, and mum's got cancer. I said, because they're both keen gardeners. I mean, they know how to grow organic veggies and that. I said, you just be vegetarian. Why are you just so attached to eating meat? It's just killing you. It's killing my mother, so just you should stop, killing these animals and eating the meat. But that didn't go down so well with him either. So being advised by his son. Because that's the thing, when you're in Maya like that, you think, oh, this is just my stupid son, ignorant son telling me something, because they're always thinking you're just their little stupid kid, right? They're not thinking that, you know anything.
Yeah,
Because a parent's always thinking, oh, this is just my little stupid kid,
cool.
So he can't take any knowledge from me. But anyway, I had to try, for my mum's well-being, because it's the thing, we don't like to see people suffer unnecessarily. It's like these things, cancer and everything. It's unnecessary. It's only because of because of our diet or things in the environment around us that's causing all these things. Actually, the cancer and that is mainly because our whole environment is so toxic that our body's getting poisoned, and developing these different cancers is because the body's getting poisoned by the food is toxic, stuff in the food, poisonous food in the food, all the chemicals and additives and preservatives and everything. And then in the water is also contaminated, the fluorine and whatever fluoride and different chlorinated and whatever chemicals they put in the water and stuff. And then the air, right? The air has got so much pollutants in the air and car pollution and everything like that, and so many things, and then artificial lights and all this kind of stuff. So the body's not designed for all this artificial, unnatural things in it. So,
And most people self-medicate as well. So if it's not cigarettes or alcohol, it's the drug. I'm told the drug like cocaine and that is rife in Meriwether Heights.
Right.
Not to mention the other drugs like ice and marijuana and that, but it's just the pressure of life that most people turn that direction. That's why we're special.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's choices, we can find so much relief from the suffering through Krishna consciousness, through chanting and so forth. Otherwise, you look for relief, like what you're saying. Well, there's medications, but it doesn't actually bring relief, as we all know. It just leads to further side effects and bad effects and so much physical and mental problems and suicide and anger and frustration and all these things, so it's very unfortunate. But yeah, everyone's searching for relief from suffering, but we can either take it from Krishna consciousness or we can take it from all the drugs and so forth, but Krishna consciousness is the one that works, so. But yeah, very unfortunate that the environment is just so contaminated and it's causing problems for people's health and like that. So as devotees, we should try to live in as a natural and environment as we can, eating good quality fresh foods and try to drink pure water. Do you have a water filter?
No, we don't, but it's something we discuss often.
Yeah, I think water,
our water here is very dusty, like it's got that, not that pure water.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like they say, the body is 90% water, right? So water, the quality of the water is very important. So I really recommend, get a good quality water filter and take all those chemicals and that out of the water. I would say, if it's just like natural dust, is not so bad as all the chemicals. Of course, if it's coal dust or something, is not so
Yeah,
good.
I don't know, but you can just taste it. It hasn't got that clear, tasty, that.
Yeah, so if you get a filter, the water will taste better and also be better for your health.
Yeah.
And then because then if you drink the pure water, it's like detoxing you. It's like detoxifying the
Yeah,
body.
get it. Look, I might do something about that actually. It's coming on Claire's birthday soon, and it's
Oh
something
yeah,
I could probably consider getting her.
yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to get a gold deluxe one, but
Yeah.
just one that takes out the basic chemicals and stuff like that. And then the water will taste better too. You'll enjoy drinking it,
Yeah.
and your health will be better for it for sure.
I do acknowledge that where I have been and people have had a water filter, you can really tell the difference.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I'll do that.
yeah, yeah. Take care of your health. It's very important. Devotees are so precious to their lives. We want devotees to live a long life. The
Yeah.
world needs Krishna conscious people there. So take care of your health. Yeah. Well, lovely to connect up with you. I'm so glad we met up.
I